Welcome everybody to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You are here with JP, Caleb, Charles, and Thiz on I'm going to keep this. I have to for Caleb's sake. I'm going to keep my my words to I guess I'm going to filter myself. You're here on a night. I'll just leave it at that. I don't even know where to begin other than actually to some degree, I'm glad this season's over because I know that there's going to be a change in the offense of coaching staff next year and it's not going to be Andy. And I'm so happy that's happening. I understand the concept to a degree of why they went to the links that they did today. I'm not going to put it all on one person because there was a lot of mistakes made in the second half of that game, but the majority of the mistakes were called by one person. And Andy can take the blame all he wants. I know that's what he does. That's Andy, but it ain't his fault. And everybody out there trashing Pat, saying he's done and he's over with and he's no good. Shut up. Shut the hell up. I'm just telling you now, don't say it again. The man's still the best quarterback in the league. Hands down, we're still the best football team in the league. We went through a year that a lot of teams go through, and we could be the Green Bay Packers that 3 straight years couldn't score a point, couldn't score a touchdown. So I don't want to hear that, it was Pat's fault or it was McColl's fault or it was Tyreek's fault or Kelsey's fault. It wasn't their fault. Pat had something to do with it a little bit. I'm only going to say one thing about that, and then I'll let you guys talk because I'm pissed off. The only thing I can say about this is that Pat needs to do his own thing. He has to do his own thing. If he gets a play call, if he sees something different, he needs to make his own moves. He can't allow one single person to control what he does. And he's too good for that. He's too intelligent for it. And he needs to be allowed to play his game. That's you guys can go ahead and take it for a little bit because I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Charles, you want to go ahead and start off, man? I want to say something. I want you to say your thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, yeah, the play calling, obviously, JP, you hit on that offensively was suspect. I mean, we just watched the exact same game that we saw in week 17.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the same thing. We got a lead. We got conservative. Left points off the board at the end of the first half that ended up biting us. Yeah, I mean,
and you know what else, Charles? I don't want to interrupt you, man, but you know what else irritates me? And I said I was going to be quiet, but I'm not. We were in the.
That's all right, hey, man. Say it. You're good, bro.
We were in the fucking red zone the exact same way they were in week 17, and we could have done the exact same thing. We could have ran to the half-yard line, punched it in, and left them no time on the board and made them run their damn timeouts out. But we had to, some stupid ass had to call a pass play that should have never happened on the inside of the white line. That should have been in the end zone. If you're going to call a pass play at that time, throw it in the freaking end zone. Don't throw it. I understand Tyreek's great, and I understand that 99% of the time he's going to punch that ball in. Don't call that play unless it's in the end zone. Pringle was wide open in the end zone. Wide open in the end zone.
But JP, let me, and this is this. Let me ask you this. And Caleb, if I'm stepping on your toes,
go ahead, man.
No, you're good.
I'll go after you, good man.
I mean, this is not me airing my grievances right now, but with that play that JP's talking about, I understand where the frustration lies on that play. But the question I have is, I thought there would be time to run one more play if Tyreek got down. But you're right about the other people in the Pringle and them in the end zone. I get all that. But at the end of the day, that was the change of the game. That was the swing of the game, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And once they stopped Tyreek, I felt like they realized, oh, we can win this game. And that was Andy Reid. I feel like that play was Andy Reid trying to be what I call Savage Reid. And Savage Reid, Macho Man Andy Reid Savage, by running up the score, not doing what he conventionally does. And I'm not saying he's wrong for that, but what I'm saying is that was just the wrong play call. Had that been a different play, it would have been completely different. We probably would have won that game by a long shot.
I got you.
I
That's a
could
great
tell you
point,
this,
Biz.
and
That's
that is a
great.
great point. But I could tell you this: out of the, I don't know, I've had now over 80 texts, and a lot of them are from the team area. Andy didn't call that play, so he had a different play in mind, and it wasn't to Tyreek on the outside of the end zone. It wasn't supposed to go that way. They should have just ran the ball. McKinnon ran out of his shoes again today. Why not run the ball? Why not just punch it in, run the clock down?
Because that's not Andy. That's just not Andy. I mean, and this is where I'm not a huge proponent for Kareem coming back and Charles. And I mean, y'all, I understand everybody really loves Kareem, and I like the way he runs the ball. I get it. And if it helps bring that component of Andy Reid being willing to trust the ball to run the ball when we're up by 3 scores or 2 scores, if it helps bring that component back, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But I also think my original thought was in bringing Kareem back is I think you could find more dynamic talent in the draft than Kareem Hunt. You just have to
There are a
really
couple.
You just have to really, really search for it. And with the offensive line that we have, you got to be able to make sure they all mesh. But if bringing Kareem back brings back Andy Reid, the guy that can close out a game, that he can trust to not fumble, to not commit a turnover or make a stupid penalty, then yeah, I'm for it. I mean, there's a lot of fingers pointing going to happen. There's a lot of blame going to be passed around, and I mean, there's a lot of deserving pieces everywhere here. It's just this game kind of sucked, and I'm starting to want to play from behind more than I want to play ahead. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we have more intensity.
Go ahead, Charles.
From behind. Go ahead, Charles.
I think from a player's aspect too, I mean, you think about where these guys came from, 3-4 after week 7, and then lost one game for the rest of the regular season, come in, play in a wild card round, locked in for 4 full quarters, because you have to be. The divisional round locked in for 5 quarters against the toughest opponent, like the toughest game we've played in the last 5 years, easily was the Bills game. 2 quarters for the first half of this game. I mean, you've got to be able to be locked in for the entirety of the playoffs if you want to win a Super Bowl.
Preach it.
And we lost it in the second half. The play calling was terrible, yes, but even going into halftime on the screen to P. Ryan in the second quarter, half-ass tackling effort by Charvarius Ward. We got a big lead.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong, Charles. Lay it out there, man. You are not wrong.
We got a big lead on these guys, and it's like, okay, we kind of, without the game being tight, without having to come from behind, we didn't have that edge mentally that we've had for the last, Pittsburgh, we wanted to prove it because we heard so much shit leading up to, the first time around wasn't real. TJ Watt can wreck a game, all that stuff. You hear all about that shit all week long. And we're like, okay, we'll prove you guys wrong. We'll hang 42 on you. And TJ Watt, we'll have 1 sack early, but that's it. Against the Bills,
like we were doing. That's exactly
we were doing the same thing we were doing here. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got up and we got comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, in every aspect of it. Every single aspect, coaching, players, everybody got comfortable. And then my second thing that I wanted to hit on here, offensively, and JP, I'm just piggybacking and probably making you more mad as I say this, but one thing we've done the last 4 weeks is get everybody involved early. Yeah. You go to Pringle early. You drop plays for Noah Gray. You drop, obviously, Tyreek and Traver in there. No question. McKinnon of late. And they did a great job of that in the beginning of the game with McKinnon, Hill, and Kelsey. But you didn't really get Pringle involved until the third drive. Hardman was involved, but then you don't go back to him for the entirety of the second half.
Yeah.
And then overtime comes around and we want to go to DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah.
Nothing
Oh
against
my
D-Rob.
gosh.
D-Rob's made huge plays.
Woo,
plays
Jesus.
for the Chiefs in the past. I'm probably too much of a D-Rob apologist, but what
I always
are
have
we
been too,
doing?
so I don't feel bad.
I have something to say. Charles, I'm just gonna cut in real quick, man. Hey,
Yeah,
you just
take
hit
it.
that right on the head, bro. I'm a person when it comes to these games, I'm pretty calm and keen. Well, pretty low. I used to be really angry, but I've kind of let these things go. But I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. That name you just other pissed me off, and I'm gonna say this. Look, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot. How do I say? You cannot target D-Rob in the overtime of the game. Look, I understand they try to bring it back for familiarity, and I'm probably gonna go on a little tangent. And Charles, I'm gonna let you have it in a second. But
No,
look,
go.
this is the problem. Andy is too buddy with the coaches. D-Rob should not be on this team. Sorensen should not be on this team. Spags needs to change his defensive philosophy. Those are three issues right there. And Mahomes needs to just take charge like Aaron Rodgers does. It makes no sense to me that we can continue to have DeMarcus Robinson on this team, and he's taking snaps away from Josh Gordon that we could have used him in this game. Charles, you nailed it right on the head, my friend. You cannot get him involved at that point in the game. You got to figure out some schemes to get Kelsey back in, Tyree. It's like, bruh, and like, I don't even know what it is, but look like Mahomes is on the sidelines like, well, I mean, I don't know what to do. And that's like, come on. And I don't try to get mad, and I try to keep a level head. But seeing Charles, you pissed off, seeing JP pissed off, and seeing Fizz pissed off from where he's at, it just kind of erupted in me because it makes me it's just frustrating because you see this team do so many great things, and Andy Reid still finds a way to mess it up. And I don't know if you guys agree with me with that, but this is the third blown lead Andy Reid has had where we've been up by more than 3 possessions.
And you know what the
38 to 10.
deciding factor of that is?
JP, 38-10 against the Colts, 21-3 against the Titans, 21-3 against the doggone Bengals. This is a travesty. It's a doggone shame. Andy needs to get out of the conservative mindset and just let them play. You have all that talent. My goodness.
You're right. But here, of late, the deciding factor has been the change of the change of the reins. When you decide at some point during any game, after what we went through at the beginning of this season, and it actually started prior to this season, it started about, I would say probably week 16 of last season. When you see the writing on the wall and you know that these problems are occurring because of a certain person making these calls, don't go back to that person. You should have never re-signed him. I'm sorry, but he shouldn't. I understand Andy Reid's got a loyalty problem that is beyond a problem.
JP, that's the problem.
Yeah, it is.
Belichick gonna cut you behind in a minute. And if we're gonna see that Andy's one of the greatest, he's gonna have to take some plays out of Belichick's playbook. Charles, would you agree with me? Would you agree with me there from that standpoint? Should Andy be maybe a little bit like, nah, this ain't gonna how it's be? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but the issue is that wouldn't be Andy Reid.
Yeah,
It wouldn't.
exactly. It's not his
fair.
personality.
You can't say you want Andy Reid and say that you want him to be Belichick, because then you don't have Andy Reid. That's one of the things that makes Andy Reid great. In fact, that's one of the things that has stopped us from going to the championship earlier than this.
Yeah.
Because he held on to Sutton too long, right?
Yep.
So whether you say get rid of Spags, whether you say get rid of Bieniemy, whether you say get rid of DeMarcus Robinson, these are guys that we know that are familiar with Andy Reid's system, the way Andy Reid likes to do things, because he doesn't do them like other coaches. The issue that we have is other players, other coaches might, how's the best way I can put this? They might not like the way Andy Reid does things, i.e. Lev Bell, i.e. a few others, maybe even. It's just Andy Reid does it in a different way. And I don't agree with a lot of it. Time management, clock management has haunted him his whole career. But he's been a really good head coach, and it just sucks that
Yes.
these little things always come back to bite us in some
Mhm.
way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah.
And your weaknesses in the playoffs get you beat. The weaknesses that you show in the regular seasons, in the playoffs, they get you beat. And today, I felt like the play calling has been an issue all season. I don't care who's calling the plays. It doesn't matter who's calling the plays. The play calling is an issue, and if it's you like we wanted to blame a lot of like at the beginning of the year, we wanted someone to blame. So we chose whomever it was, whether it be we don't have enough wide receivers, whether um, Mahomes is broken, offensive line needs to block. But we say all those things, but the play calling hasn't been up to par all season, and it's been spotty, like consumer cellular cell phone service or whatever.
Yeah.
It's been Cricket Wireless in Montana spotty. So
Biz, you're fun.
I'm just saying.
You're not wrong, man. You're not wrong.
So we have to realize that either you're needing to go get the guys that either if you want to play these horrible play calls or whatever, go get the guys that best suit your system instead of settling for the guys that you want to mold into your system, or get a better system. I'm sorry to butt in like that, but it's just.
No, you're right. Here's the
Andy.
thing, man. The only thing I got to say about that is that, look, Andy's been the same coach for his entire career. There's no doubt. You said it.
No
Everybody
doubt about
knows
that.
it. He's always been the same guy. Okay. Hands down, which has made him, in my opinion, I still think he's the best coach it's coached in.
I agree.
But the problem with him is the only issue that Andy has is that he is very, very loyal to his coaching staff to a degree. Now,
And that's
I'm not even
the
going to say
problem.
to a degree. It's not. It's not even to a degree. It's full blown. The problem
Hey,
with it is it reminds me of how I can go back 30 years and how Lamar was with Carl Peterson. He was
yeah.
extremely loyal to Carl Peterson for no reason whatsoever. Carl robbed him blind. He shit on him. He treated him like he was a decrepit old man that didn't know what he was doing. And he basically ruined a lot of people's careers.
Yep.
He took a lot of careers down with him. We can't allow that to happen to a Mahomes, a Tyreek, a Kelsey, or anyone else that's on this football team. If you see the problem, you know where the problem lies. Don't be a bitch about it. Just get rid of the problem. You can't wait and continue. We've seen it with Sutton. He drugged that shit on 3 years too long. We've seen it with Eric Bieniemy. His time has
leads with
passed.
Sutton.
Yes.
I don't want to butt in. I don't want to stop anybody from talking. And I'm gonna shut up after this. But my grandfather, God rest his soul, he had a farm, and we used to go down there every year in the summer. And he had fruit trees, and there was a peach tree that he had. And one day I picked one that had a worm in it. And the first thing he said, I wanted to throw it away, but he's like, no, that's wasteful. What do you need to do? And then what he did is took his pocket knife out and said, cut out the worm. Here you go.
There you go.
And that has changed. Those words have changed my life since I heard it.
Yep.
Because the peach was still good.
That's right.
It's just you got to cut out the worm of the part that the worm wasn't in.
Yep.
And you can still eat this thing.
Yep.
We just got to cut out the bad stuff.
Yep.
The clock management's an issue. The play calling has been an issue. Just cut it out. Get rid of it. And it sounds like I'm upset, but I'm not really upset. We knew the problems all season long. It just when we started getting the offense back where it needed to go, it was masking tape, and it was just, it was something that was covered over when it needed to be fixed.
What
And
upsets me, I think,
now
the
I'm gonna
most
shut
about
up and let
this.
you guys talk. I'm
Oh, you're
sorry.
good. This. One thing I would say.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Oh, sorry. And sorry guys for the rant. I apologize. I didn't mean to.
No,
cut
you're
in
fine,
anyone's
man. No,
time.
everybody's got a
See,
rant.
Rob, this. It's just I don't know. It's just this grandpa was right. You gotta cut out the loose chain. I mean, when you're looking at it from this instance, the Chiefs are a good team. And Charles, you have wrote so many fantastic articles this season over the team, man. And shout out to you because you have dialed into this team and dissected and looked at all the different things, man. And I learned more about the game because your articles. But one thing I've noticed kind of thing, and you probably will see this summer when you're writing, is this it's just it shows that the team, man, that collapse was it just that collapse is just kind of crazy because you have all this power, you're unstoppable. It's like you're playing rookie mode in Madden, and all of a sudden you're playing all Madden and you can't call play calls. And I like Andy, and this is where I'm trying to go. I understand what they're trying to do when it comes to these special teams guys, but look, you're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to go out and get some players. You're gonna have to go get a Von Miller. You're gonna have to go get maybe a Jalen Ramsey. Someone has these calibers, and make sure they don't play special teams. And we've seen this. Sorensen has been on this team for what is it?
9
4 years?
No.
How many years?
He's been with us for 8 years. I
8.
believe.
Okay. Yeah. 7, 8 years. And when you look at it, it's like, yeah, he's had some good plays, but he has struggled. And to see Andy and them continue to let guys like him, Demarcus Robinson, play and let them have snaps over players such as Armani Watts, Doran O'Daniel, Josh
Thornhill.
Gordon. Thornhill. It's a complete travesty, and it's a waste of draft picks if you're just going to let this happen. They need to get players that can continue to help push this team and not just make them stick to special teams. Yes, that's an important phase, but you have to let these guys play. And I don't know if you guys would agree with me in this statement, but when you look at the end of the day, you have to have the next man on deck and ready to go. They have not really found another safety when it comes to Sorensen. I don't know what Spags is doing with his depth chart mindset.
It has nothing to do with Spags. And that part has nothing to do with Spags. We should have went and got another safety anyway. And
whose fault is that? Is that on the coaching staff or is that on Veach's fault? Because I still feel like it's partly on Spags because he's continuing to let him play when we have someone like Armani Watts who could go out there and do something.
I mean, that's absolutely true, but on some level, it's got a lot to do with everybody. I don't think this loss, and I don't think this loss is solely on one person.
Oh yeah, it's on everybody.
I think originally I said that beginning of the season, I thought we put maybe a little bit too much emphasis on protecting Mahomes. With the offensive line, I think we put a lot of resources into doing so when we could have probably just got away with drafting those guys and not bringing in bringing in Brown. But as we got in the season, it was working. It was doing great. They were great. But at the end of the day, we lost this game. The last play ended the exact same way that the Super Bowl did.
This the crazy thing is, and Charles, I don't know if you were on the spaces, and JP, I know you were there, but I said the Chiefs have to execute all 4 quarters and play offense, defense, and special teams. The only group that really showed up today the full game was the special teams. That was the only group.
I agree. And that's always going to be a mainstay with our special teams coordinator handling that. That's normally a mainstay.
And see, that's the problem that I have too. I mean, I've been around this game a long time, and I'm sure a lot of other people have too. When you have a coach go down, a head coach, whatever the case may be, whether it's because he was fired, he got sick, whatever the case is, your special teams coach is the guy that you bring in to coach that football team. It's been that way forever. When Andy went down in week 2, and he wasn't allowed to coach, well, let me just put it this way. He wasn't able to coach. And he was supposed to take it easy and be stress-free and stay away from it. He wasn't even supposed to be on the field. But that's not Andy. Dave Tobe should have taken over. He knows both sides of the ball. He understands the game. He's been with us long enough. He's got a great special teams mind. He's got a great defensive mind. He's got a great offensive mind. I don't understand why it is that he doesn't even wear a headset. He doesn't even communicate with the coaches during games. This is not indicative of how a coaching staff should work. And when you see and your players are telling you that there's a problem and it needs to be addressed, and then you address it, but then you go back to that problem because you feel like maybe it got fixed, or maybe you're rallying to get for somebody to get a job somewhere to get them the hell out of here, or whatever the case may be, that is the fault of Andy. That's the only fault I am going to put on Andy right now, is the fact that he is way too loyal, and he needs to realize that if there's a problem going on, whether it's OC, DC, positioning coaches, whatever the case may be, you have to fix that problem, because inevitably what happens is that when time goes on and you don't fix those issues, you lose players because of those problems. It's that simple. You can't gain anybody else, and you lose the people you got.
That's true.
That cancer can spread and take over the whole thing.
And that's what it's starting to feel like it's doing. They love Andy. They love him.
That I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Charles?
I gotta play devil's advocate on that a little bit, because I think that can loyalty be a fault at some point? Yeah, if you let it get too far. But my thought is, how many offensive coordinators have we been through since Andy's been here, and we can just promote from within because there's depth, because people want to coach in this system. Like we've got Mike Kafka, next man up, who's followed Andy everywhere because Andy drafted him.
Can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But what I'm saying, Andy's, that type of mindset can be beneficial in an organization, especially if you want one
if you're doing it that way.
Now.
Yeah,
exactly. Right now he has roots in Kansas City. Like this is like a program. This isn't just, someone who has a job is like, maybe the Giants job will open up, or maybe the Patriots job will open up. Like, he's not going anywhere. And eventually he will need to move on. And I think, sadly, I think some people are starting to talk about that on Twitter. I don't think we're there.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Who are you talking about? Who?
People wanting Andy out.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, that ain't happening.
You're good, man. Hey, it's all right.
Yeah. No, we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page. That's insane. But I do think there's a benefit to the way that he handles that too. Because yes, is the hard line, hard ass mentality not there from a head coach like Andy Reid? Yeah, absolutely. But on the flip side of that, the benefits there are he is more of a player's coach, so the players flock to him because he does have that warm, he's like a granddad running a
father
football
figure
team.
to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And then his coaches, his young coaches especially, which he picks them very, very well, and his young front office guys. Brett Veach has been with him forever.
Yes,
and
you're right, Charles.
Brett Veach stuck around and kept getting promoted in Kansas City instead of probably. We don't know what kind of jobs Veach got offered before he was the GM here.
A lot of
right. So there is a benefit to that. Having the attraction for good people to stay is a benefit for an organization. And are there naturally going to be some that need to go and probably need to be snuffed out sooner at some point? Absolutely. That's just the evolution of what they're building. But to me, the stone cold facts here are that this is the first football game that we've lost with Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback in the playoffs. Because the New England game, just like Buffalo was saying last week, there is validity to this. New England won the coin toss and walked off on us 3 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah. Today we choked it away. We lost it. So it's the first time. It's not going to be the last time, but it's not going to be the last time that we're in an AFC championship. Not going to be the last time we host an AFC championship with Patrick Mahomes. It sucks, but
I host another one next year.
I want to say this, as much as I hate being the negative guy, but in the moment, it kind of feels very negative to say, but that's not promised. If you can get beat by Joe Burrow, and I can't even think of the name of the head coach for Cincinnati,
Jackson or whatever. I don't know what.
Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor.
When you can get beat by those two guys and their defense, who was missing one of their defensive tackles, by the by, can beat you to a point where you're not scoring anything but 3 points in the second half.
Second
For
time.
me, it kind of made light of what the Bucks did last year, because I thought what they did was pretty good. They held down the Chiefs. They held the Chiefs to no touchdowns. I thought that was pretty amazing. Of course, I had to have a little perspective there, but seeing that the Bengals can do this and do it they came out and they just kind of bent us into submission. It was kind of one of those WTF moments. What just happened? And what it does for me is that, one, makes me wonder, how do you get better from that? If you're not tough, you go out and you learn the box, and that helps you learn how to, get your eye and foot coordination together, and it helps you learn how to take a punch or whatever. But on offense, how do you get tougher? You run the ball, but that's just not Andy's style. So where do we go from here?
But I mean, and I hear you, Thiz, and I see what your point is, and I think you Charles and Thiz bring up both great points because they're both great things. The thing, Andy, is he's gonna have to change. I mean, no one likes to run the ball. I mean, when I play Madden, I'm throwing that thing every play. I mean, I'm throwing that ball every play. I don't care with Mahomes.
I can understand that.
We built off this offensive line. I felt like moments like this, and they didn't use it. And I was just more shocked that Mahomes decided not to check out of those plays and be like, well, no, we're going to change this. And I see you nodding with me, Charles, and you probably would agree with this. Aaron Rodgers be changing plays of the lines and getting touchdown. Why can't Mahomes do this? We had this offensive line. We sunk a first-round draft pick. I think a third round draft pick, and then also a 6th round draft pick in the offensive line. And we also got 2 guys in the offseason to come over altogether. So you can play bully ball. The Bengals defense is just not that good, but the Chiefs got beat today. And as much as it sucks, they're going to have to face the music and be like, well, you're going to have to figure it out, because if you don't, everyone's going to say they can beat Mahomes. And it just shows you there are many different things that can happen. And a team can continue to play and do what they can do and make it to a point, but you got to take that extra step and beyond to get past that, because the Chiefs should have won this game. Just looking at just kind of the whole dynamic of the team, it sucks, but I will say this: the Chiefs will be back, but I do trust Veach to make the right calls in the offseason, and I think he should have more control, kind of what's coming from that standpoint, kind of than what he does, because to me, and you guys probably disagree, but it just makes no sense that we draft these guys and then mainly make them play special teams. There got to be contributing members. It just makes no sense.
Well, your first couple of years, or year maybe or two, yeah, you're going to see guys play special teams. But when it gets beyond that point, then it's time to, if that's all you're keeping them for, then let them go somewhere where they can thrive. I mean, that's the wrong mentality to have, I think, when it comes to drafting guys that came out of college, whether it be a CB, wide receiver, running back, whatever the case may be, and you stick them on special teams for 4 or 5 straight years. You can't do that. I understand having a great special teams is very, very important, but that's an evolution thing that continues. I mean, when you have a great special teams coach, you can always have great special team players, but you still have to move those guys up. Excuse me.
You have to, man. You
have to
can't
move
just
them up.
keep them dormant.
No.
And it just makes no sense. You got all these guys that are coming up, and it's kind of like we're wasting their talent. Armani Watts can probably be a good safety for us in the future. Darnell Daniel, I don't know. I think that's a lost cause at this point, because as long as you have Spags as the defensive coordinator, yes, he's helped us win, but the adjustments. And I kind of want to segue over into this kind of the defensive part of this show, and I'm just going to throw this out there. What are your guys' thoughts on Chris Jones and the defensive line not getting any stops? I'm just curious. Go ahead, Charles.
I know. Go ahead, Charles. I'll let you go first.
Oh, sorry.
I got my own opinion about Chris Jones, but you guys go ahead.
I I notice this a lot because I'm a huge stickler on Spags sub packages.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see the snap counts tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Because they're very, very, very rarely did we have our 4 best guys on the field at the same time.
I saw that.
That's a problem.
Saw that.
It was like it, and I don't know if someone was banged up potentially. Melvin Ingram was out there most of the game. Chris Jones was in there, but you saw a lot of Mike Dana, you saw a lot of Okafor, and you saw a lot of Wharton, which is not a bad thing. I mean, those guys are good, but they're backups for a reason.
Yeah, that makes no sense. And you bring up a great point, Charles. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. That's basically like I think. I mean, the defensive from the very first drive, Cincinnati actually, I guess second drive, Cincinnati chunked off a couple of runs. And I thought, okay, well, I mean, we saw the second string D line in there when this is happening. I'm thinking, what are we doing? And they looked good for the rest of the first half until that last drive. But I just don't know how you get any continuity as a unit if you're not all playing together for more than 2 snaps at a time.
Yeah. And I understand the whole concept of having fresh legs and all that shit. But when it comes down to it, you have especially your defensive line and your offensive line, you have to have continuity, and you hit the nail on the head. If you don't, there's no, defensive line by committee. There's no offensive line by committee. These guys,
it's the AFC Championship. Put your best players on the field.
Put your best players on the field. And Chris Jones, look, I'm not going to take much away from the man because he got shuffled around a little bit this year, but I noticed in one particular play today, I had noticed on more than one occasion, but he was fighting 4 guys at one time. 4 guys. And then you got a tight end and a right guard that's blocking Melvin Ingram, and he's pushing both of those guys back. You got Frank Clark that's basically fighting 2 people on the other side. So part of the problem that we have, especially with our defensive line, and I don't know if you guys will agree with me or not, they don't get off the ball quick enough, and they don't have the arm techniques. Frank is good against weaker opponents.
Yep.
But when it comes to stronger opponents, he does not have the technique. And when I say technique, I go back to Derek Thomas, because Derek was very strong, but he wasn't the strongest guy on the planet. But his technique was so well groomed that he was able to get around anyone. And he was quick off the line.
That's a pretty high bar to set, though.
What's that?
Well, setting the bar at
Derek
DT.
Thomas.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
monster.
I get what you're saying, though. I was just trying to.
It is a high bar. You're right, but I'm saying
every Chiefs defender should be Derek Thomas.
No,
Man, if we had,
there's nobody out there
Derek
that'll ever be Derek
Lord.
Thomas.
We'd never lose.
Well,
that's a fact.
But there's never going to be another Derek Thomas. But my point is that there's guys out there that have technique and are fast off the ball right now that are on other teams. And we don't have that.
Just look to last week, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just look to last week. They got 9 sacks on Joe Burrow.
With 8 with their front 4.
And
we couldn't
get more than a handful.
Yeah.
That's
and so
problem.
if you got Joe Burrow winning when you go 9 sacks, when you sack him for 9 times, he's not fazed by anything. He's one of those ice. He's
ice in the veins. I mean, he is.
He's right there with Mahomes, especially if he wins the Super Bowl this year. And I will say this, just a side note, whether you can run with it or not, there is a little bit of fatigue that I think this team felt. Being in the AFC Championship game for the last since 2018.
Years,
that's more games played than anybody. And to this year, it's 18 games. This is not an excuse. This is reality. There has been more games played by the Chiefs in the last 4 years than any team, Patriots included. Yeah. And maybe it was just time that we just needed more rest. Who knows? I don't know. But I did want to throw that out there. Not changing the subject. Just want to make that abundantly clear.
Yeah, you're right, dude. I mean, I said the same thing with it, just like mentally too. I mean,
you could see it on their faces.
Yeah.
It's just gassed.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I completely gassed in the second half.
What do you say, Charles?
I got to bounce. I'm gonna
No
leave.
problem,
I'm gonna
man.
leave it with. I'm gonna leave it with one thing. I was actually thinking about this, and this may be a little too like sunny to bring up right now,
Hey, man, you're good.
but
I need some sun.
since you're probably not gonna like this, but NFC Championship games on downstairs. You got San Fran and LA, two huge markets. The NFL is probably salivating over those teams being in there. In this game, you had Cincinnati and Kansas City. Not too long ago, we were in the exact same boat that Cincinnati's in right now, going to the Super Bowl.
You're right.
With a chance to win it for the first time ever. We won it for the first time in 50 years. It's a small market. I'm not happy about the outcome, but I think, as the next couple of weeks, as we all get over this, I think that, getting like right now, I'm going Niners because I've just kind of like the Niners roster. If they're not playing the Chiefs, why not?
I agree with you.
Cincinnati, they get their flowers. They get to have their moment in the sun. Good for them. And if they win it, that's going to be a really cool experience for their fans. We got to do it a couple of years ago. We'll do it again soon. Just it wasn't in the cards this year. A lot of things to change. I'm sure we'll talk about that, nonstop for the next 8 months. But for you guys, thank you so much for this opportunity to write about the team this year. I've loved it.
You're not stopping.
No, we're not. I'm gonna keep churning out. We'll have the post game reaction out tomorrow. But thank you guys for bringing me in and embracing me as one of your own, and look forward to continuing to churn out the content with you guys. So
we appreciate it, man. You are one of our own,
Charles.
just like Fizz is one of our own, and we really appreciate everything you've done, man.
And I echo the same thing. And Charles, before you go, hey, you're a godsend. We are blessed to have you. And dude, you are a freak. I don't even know who the best writer is, but you should be right. You should be right there with it, man. Because you are. I don't know. We're not even joking. People be asking about you, man.
People ask, man, and I tell them, in my opinion, he's like a little mini Therese. I mean, he writes with.
You're great.
That's the highest journalistic praise you can get.
Well,
you earned
piece-wise.
it.
I know, and I appreciate that, guys. I really do.
You earned it.
You guys have been awesome. So let's keep rocking this thing.
Oh, we will,
problem, man. Well, we appreciate it, Charles. Hey, man, we'll be in touch, bro.
Have a great night, brother.
Have a good night, man.
See you guys.
No problem.
Fizz, let me ask you a question, and I just want your honest opinion about this because I've been on this for a while, and I because I get so many answers from the people I know, and if God, I even hate saying these words. If for some reason that Bieniemy came back next year, what would your thoughts would be right now?
Honestly, I would be without words, and I'm not saying Bieniemy's the problem because he's not. It's so much, but Caleb, I want you to weigh in on this because I got a lot of words. I got a lot of things to say, and let me just give me 1 second so that I can get those down, and then I'll respond.
Are you good, man? If EB be on this team next year, that would be, in my opinion, based off of what JP you've been telling me this year, what we see on ESPN said and confirmed this year with him not choosing the calls and basically telling them what to run. I think that is a travesty. When you look at the end of the day, you have to build your team to be successful. And EB, yes, he had his time and everything, but it's time to move to someone else. This game is a prime example. Like, and what I'm saying is the parallel. People probably won't agree with me with this, but he seems to be kind of like Matt and Nagy when it comes to the play calling, in my opinion, because Matt Nagy was partially the reason why we blew that lead 21-3 in 2018 season. I feel like EB kind of is the same way and hasn't really been calling the best calls. Yeah. So I think, JP, it's going to make it worse than what it is because you're going to have that power struggle from what you've been saying, JP. It's going to be AB, EB, and the Mahomes. Yeah. I'm not. Andy, EB, and the Mahomes with the power struggle. And it's kind of like Mahomes shouldn't be put in the middle, but it's kind of like, look, Mahomes is your future. Mahomes is the franchise. You need to let him make the calls at the line of scrimmage. You need to let him check out his stuff. I was amazed that they were deciding to throw the ball when they could have ran it. And I was like, you got to be joking me. This is a game of Madden for all of a sudden. That's what it was looking like. And just looking at it, it's frustrating. But I think you have to move on. And when it comes in, I'm gonna tie this into the Spags. If Andy has another talk and Spags just continues to do the same thing, it's on Andy, because Andy brings these coaches in. Andy should have final say. And I know he's written stuff. You said he's written stuff in the contracts and different things like that, but you're going to have to do team success over individual coaching success. And I think that's kind of the disconnect we're seeing and we're facing this offseason. Are the coach right or are the players right? Because the players are the ones executing it. The coaches are the only ones that are only ones drawing up the play.
Well, let me read you a text that I just got.
Mm-hmm.
I was texting back and forth with a guy from there, and he was pissed. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say the exact words he said because, I mean, some of them are words that I know Caleb wouldn't want me to say on here. But basically, he's basically saying that Andy is part of the problem, which is kind of what I was alluding to a while ago. I just got this text 10 seconds ago. He's telling everybody he's coaching 2 more years last month and burning up NFL cachet to prop EB. And again, EB and Patrick had another problem this week.
There you go.
Here's that is what I've been trying to get at all season without going overboard. I try not to overstep my bounds with this, and sometimes I do because it just pisses me off to the point when I hear it's Andy, it's this, it's that, the other. Andy is part of the problem to a degree. He has been this. I agree with what Charles said about bringing people from within and running them up the ladder and doing all the things that you do. But when you see there's an issue, you know that there's an issue. It's causing problems internally. It's time to walk away from that problem. It's time to eliminate that issue. This is another. This you have to cut out the worm, just like Thiz just said. This has been a problem all year. This is a problem part of last year. At the end of last year, I've been saying this, and this is directly from somebody with the Chiefs. This is not some idiot off the street. This is somebody directly from the Chiefs that just flat out told me this. I knew that EB and Mahomes had another problem this week. And in fact, I even noticed during the game when EB was sitting next to Mahomes was talking to Kafka. He didn't even look. I think it was Kafka. He didn't even look EB's direction. And EB had a play sheet in his hand. And I think it looked like he was trying to even talk to Pat for a moment, and Pat wouldn't look at him. This has been an ongoing issue all year.
Well, the thing I don't know, man. I so much of me looks at this situation, and me wanting EB to go, I guess, maybe not go, but so much of that is rooted in me wanting Kafka. When Kafka first got introduced as one of the guys in Andy Reid's tree, for some reason it made me feel like, look, this guy is a young guy. He is a competent guy. He's a quarterbacks coach, and I'm interested in what he's going to do. Same way with when I saw Doug Peterson, as the offensive coordinator, I thought that there would be another something that opens up. Granted, Mahomes wasn't here with Doug Peterson, but quarterbacks coach quarterbacks differently. They do as offensive coordinators, as head coaches, and I was looking forward to seeing what could open up with Kafka being as the offensive coordinator. EB has done his thing for what he's done. You can't knock it. He's been to 3 straight AFC championships. I don't have that inside plug that JP has. I just don't, and I wish I do. So everything I hear about that goes straight on to what I've heard from you. And so I don't advertise that because I don't, I just it's overstepping my bounds. You know what I mean? But it's just so much is happening right now. Like I feel like with DeMarcus, like not even DeMarcus Robinson, no name names, but with our receiving core, they could be better. With the guys that we target in our off seasons, I think those could be better as well. And seeing because EB has gotten into it with players on the sidelines a lot this year, more than I've ever seen any coach do, really, especially with Mahomes. But seeing that kind of stuff is not a great sign. And so, yeah, you might sweep it under the rug for a little while, but it's always going to come back to bite you at some point if you don't fix the problem. And I think we saw this year that a lot of problems still need to be fixed and not swept under the rug to come back and haunt you later. And that includes, but not limited to, the talent that you have at wide receiver, the communication between your offensive coordinator and your quarterback, as well as your offensive line. Because again, the last time we saw Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, it looked similar to the last few plays of the AFC Championship this year. I don't want to be a victim of overcorrection, but there's a lot that needs to go on this offseason.
Yeah, and I think you bring up something, Thiz. I didn't realize EB's gotten into it players that much before. I've seen it kind of happen. The only real examples I kind of see was with Mahomes. What were the other examples you saw of this?
With Travis Kelce,
Yeah.
the one with Travis Kelce, and I just saw him visibly upset, and he was asked about it in the press conference, and they buddied up, I guess, and then you saw him chuckling it up with EB on the sidelines after they fixed it. But I just never seen that before. Not really. You've seen players get mad at coaches or vice versa, but I don't know if I've seen both get into heated arguments. And that's all well and good. When you're in the heat of competition, spirits arise, things happen and you get heated. It happens. But based on what JP's telling me, and that's basically all I can go by is what JP's telling me, it's not hard to believe that's happening. Yeah. It's not hard to believe that there is I don't want to say strife, disagreements on some game plans, some play calls, what have you. But the issue that I find is they did try to, and I don't attribute it to him trying to change Mahomes. Now that I look back on it, it's more of him trying to build another aspect of his game, and it was working up to this point. They were allowing him to step into the pocket, but what I saw today was he's like towards the end, he started relying on his what he knows. He started relying on the footwork, got a little bit lazy. He started running around, and it turned into backyard football again, where our offense, where our wide receivers, it wasn't the wide receivers' fault. Mahomes backpedaled, and ended up getting sacked. People are studying that now, so it's just one of those things that maybe some new blood needs to come in and just mellow everything out. I don't know. But
what I just got texted, you're definitely right. I'm not going to completely repeat everything that was just told to me, but yeah, I would tell you that how should I word this?
Wherever you got to, man. Say it how you got to.
There's some very angry individuals right now within the team.
Yeah.
And they are they're not I'm trying to word this without overstepping my bounds at this point, because I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash at some point, but and that's up to somebody else to do, not me. I'll just say the last words that were said were, "This isn't going to work this way," and that was by players.
Dang.
So
Say that.
what's that?
Can you say that one more time for me?
The players basically just said, "This isn't going to work out like this. This isn't going to continue to work this way."
Interesting.
Um,
One thing I want to say real quickly, they're gonna crown Joe Burrow as the next wonderkind.
oh, I
Yep.
know it. I know.
Okay,
Unfortunately.
just so you know.
Yep. I know
And Mahomes, they're gonna move off of Mahomes magic, and that's fine. They're gonna move off of everything, because if Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl, he's gonna go from winning the NFL, I mean the NCAA championship to Super Bowl. So understand that's gonna be another thing.
I don't
And
think he's going to win a Super Bowl. Not
I
against either one
don't
of
think
those
so
guys.
either, but you never know. You
Yeah.
never.
I
And
just
if
can't
that
see it
happens,
happening.
and if that happens, just know that the news will be insufferable.
Oh, I know.
And I was looking at the franchise yesterday, and which is I mean, I think everybody that's listening to this podcast knows what the franchise is,
Yep.
on YouTube. And I was looking at those first 5 weeks and how much turmoil we kind of went through. We were just trying to find our identity. We're here now, and while Mahomes is great, he's still great. I don't know if we found that identity yet. We know what we do well, but I think when we do find it on offense, we're too easily found out. I guess we're too easily discoverable, and we don't have that second bag of things to go into
That's where the
to
problem lies, though,
help
Thiz.
pull us out of it, if you understand what I'm saying.
I 100% understand, and that's exactly where the problem lies. We know, we look from a player standpoint, I can tell you, and from most of the coaching standpoint, they know who they are. They know what their identity is. They know what they can and can't do. They know how good they are. They know where their weaknesses are. They know where to
Absolutely.
improve. The problem lies within who's how should I word this one?
Your secondary bag of skills and development. Like for me, it was how I thought about it was, you know what you do well, and that's throwing the ball down the field. Yeah, you're taking the shorter routes, but now we need to rely on something different, which if you're talking about from an offensive standpoint, the running game,
a mixed bag.
that has to get better.
Yeah, it's got to be a mixed bag. I mean, it's got to get to a point where the trust level has left the room for certain people, and it left the room a long time ago.
has left the trust element?
I mean, for a
Not-
loss like that, I mean,
not
I wouldn't be
between
surprised.
It hasn't really lost it between players, and it has. I could tell you that going by these texts, the players trust each other. It's not a matter of player trusting player. It's not a matter of player trusting Andy. It's players trusting other people. And it's come down to a point now that this solidified exactly what I have been talking about all year. And I don't want to get too deep into this because I'll let it come out when it comes out. But this is what I have been trying to get at in a roundabout way. And then when I finally did snap on the show one day and said it, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And now we're in a position that it cost us a season. It cost us a Super Bowl. It can cost us players. If this doesn't get fixed, and I mean immediately fixed, this can cost us in the long run. And that's the last thing we want, is to lose any of our high caliber players, any of our, other great coaching staff, or anyone else over two singular issues. And it's boiled down to those two issues. One's worse than the other. One got pretty much stymied, but the other one is still there and is still, it sucks because it's such a fine line between being a football team and being in a business. And there's a business aspect to what they've been trying to do. I get that. I understand it. But it's costing time with players, it's wasting careers, and it's causing turmoil. And it's now time for that to go away. If it doesn't go away, we are going to lose a hell of a lot more than an AFC championship game. And I'm going to leave it at that. My phone has not stopped since the third quarter. It hasn't stopped. And it's still going off. I don't want to put out there what I'm being told, because that's not what I'm supposed to do. I am putting out tidbits of what I'm being told. This was not good. I'm going to leave it at that. This was just not good today. Not just because we lost, but from other standpoints that can cost us later on down the line. And I don't want to see that happen. We need to fix this problem, and it needs to be fixed now. For anybody out there that wants to know, pretty much there's three head coaching jobs left in the NFL. Everybody else has filled positions with other people. One guy got a job that, they hired him. I don't even know why, but I don't know if his resume is as, maybe it's a great resume. I don't know. It doesn't, from outside looking in, I don't know this individual, but from the outside looking in, I can't see it being that great compared to other people. The one good thing that I've noticed is they're not recycling shit. This is not a toilet bowl that's clogged up and it just keeps bringing up the same turd over and over and over again. That's a good thing, but there's not very many jobs left. And there's been interviews already, 4 or 5, and they went with other people. So
yeah, and I see what you're saying, man. One thing about JP, JP always brings great insight to the podcast, and for him to share this information is really good because we get an inside view of kind of what's going on. And to that, thank you, JP.
No problem, man. I'm just trying. I try to not go too far with it because it's not my place.
Well, you know what, man? Stuff's gonna happen. This is frustrating, and plus, you've seen this before, JP. And for anyone knows, JP's been around this team for years. Probably what's 30 years, man.
31,
basically?
yeah.
31 years. So JP has seen a lot, and because of him, I learned a lot more about the game. And I'm pretty sure maybe I taught a couple things, or maybe I taught him.
You
I
have.
didn't teach him everything.
No, you
but
taught
JP,
me a lot of shit. I don't know nothing about none of this stuff, man. You're more technical, and
well, yeah,
and,
man.
You got
No.
all that. Dude, I'm not a technical guy. I'm far from that. So
no, you're good, man. But you taught me
a
so
lot.
much thing about the Derek Thomas and this team, and you bring good insight, man. And the reason why you're frustrated, I don't not blame you 100. I don't blame you at all, because look, it sucks because it should not happen.
It's upsetting.
But
to
this
watch
is something my dad told me, and my dad has told me this, and it's kind of always stuck with me, kind of with this. His grandpa told him, but my dad said you gotta have your stock in other things in order to basically be successful in a way.
You do.
So you can't yeah, we're all gonna love the Chiefs and all, but if they lose, we still gotta go to work the next day. As much as it's gonna suck, JP, you got your business. This at work right now, so he's filming the run of it. Yep. I got stuff to do too, but it's all gonna work out. And I know fans are frustrated. Hey, I'm frustrated, and maybe I had a little bit of blow up at the beginning, but from my understanding, seeing this, it was kind of like, dang, it sucks.
Does
And
suck.
what you said, JP, I mean, you've known stuff around the head like you always do. Players are pissed, and they have a right to be. You lost to a team that wasn't good. You got Eli Apple talking, who is not good. He's been burnt year after year after year, and it just sucks to see. I think one thing I've kind of noticed with the Chiefs is that, yeah, they're good, but you have to also be prepared to see what's going to happen. They should have, JP, been up 28-3, 28-3, 28-10 at the half.
Yeah.
But they just weren't able to figure out. And the players, man, it's how do I say it? The players, and hold on. I understand we have coaches for a reason, but the players sometimes know best. And I don't know if you agree with me, Fizz, JP, but it's kind of like you know how you have the workers and you have the manager? Sometimes the managers don't even really know what's going on. It's the players.
100%.
It's the workers. They know what's going on. And I think it's been a colossal failure on Andy and Spags, because every time they want to talk about Spags' defense, they want to be saying, oh, Spags' defense is this and that. No. Spags is partial the reason why this defense fell behind this year and why he continued to let players who should not have been playing play. That's kind of what I agree 100%. Yeah. So when you're taking that aspect to it, if you have a Thornhill pissed off, you have a Baker pissed off, that should tell you some stuff. Look, this might have possibly been our reason why we may not sign Melvin Ingram in the offseason. And Melvin Ingram had a sack, and then he had a batted pass. And Melvin Ingram's good. So they're going to have to figure something out. These coaches need to get out of this ego God complex that they understand everything, because some of them understand the game, but some of them really don't know what's going on, and it's caused this team to struggle tremendously. John J. Baker, I expect him to be here next year. I expect him to really help. I expect other players, such as
I hope
Snead.
here's next year now after reading all this shit.
Huh?
After all these texts, I hope and pray Tyrann Matthew here next year.
Oh, I think he's going to be here. I don't see him going. He's already set his roots here, but I mean, I could be wrong. We got people, and this I'll let you. And we got people who can barely who run to the couch and then run to the refrigerator, want to say he's soft. They don't know how much he's been through. The era of the player just sitting there and let people talk to him crazy, it's over. Tyrann Matthews from Louisiana, he ain't gonna let no one talk to him like that.
Well, I'm talking about from an internal standpoint.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, Tyrann
No, I agree
Matthew
with
could
you.
give a rat's ass about what these fucking
Yeah.
couch potatoes want to say. I hope and pray that we don't lose anybody that is substantial over what just happened today. I'm going to leave it at that. And that can happen. And it's starting to, it's grinding on me right now, because, you're sitting here and you're, especially guys that have been through it, like we have for all these years, and to see a team that is so damn good.
Yes.
So good. I mean, when it comes to a talented roster, with the exception of a couple of players, I wouldn't want anyone else on our team. I mean, I would I want to add to it? Well, yeah. But I wouldn't trade a McCall Hardman for anybody. Not anybody out there.
He stepped up.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade a Tyreek Hill for anyone out there. I wouldn't trade a Travis Kelce for anyone out there. I wouldn't want anyone else to step into those three shoes, or those three positions, besides the three that we have. There's nobody out there in this league I would rather have than those three on this team. With that being said, do we want to add? Well, yeah. I mean, you always want to add for the future, but you don't want to take away what's got you where you're at. And
no doubt about that.
What's that?
I said no doubt about that. I mean, it's just I know the defense needs help.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Like, after a game like that, where do we go from here?
How to rebuild and reload. That's all you can really do.
But where? We knew last year that Beach was going to go offensive line. We understood that.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, we would go defensive line and linebackers, right?
We need defensive line, linebacker. Actually, I have the list for you right here at this. I will tell you. This is the players I've been looking in the draft this year. JP will tell you. I sent him some players yesterday. He was fairly impressed.
Yeah.
I sent you some players, JP.
Especially that last one.
Yeah, that last one. We need wide receiver, running back, safety, defensive line, and linebacker. Those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions of need that Veach needs to target the offseason. And we need a wide receiver too, a true wide receiver too.
I agree, and I agree with that list. Like I've gotten a list together, but what I normally do is list them by degree of need, and I haven't identified that part yet. I haven't gone through and figured that part out yet, but I would like to see what happens. I want to see, because Brett Beach is going to absolutely do everything in his power to figure out how to get this team back. And I would hate to see it negated by bad coaching calls or what have you. Where this team's going to go moving from here is going to be an interesting situation. Whether I don't know how that Bieniemy situation is going to unfold. I don't know how the Kafka could, because as far as what I know, Kafka is ready to go. As far as what I'm saying, when I say ready to go, I mean as in ready to.
He's ready to take the reins.
He's ready to be a coordinator in route to him being a head coach. And so, how long will he wait if Bieniemy does end up staying? Like there's so many questions for this offense, and I know Andy Reid has people waiting in the wings, and I just really wanted to see what Kafka had to bring. And so it's a lot of questions that need to be answered and a lot of introspection that needs to be done with the Chiefs and just the where do we go from here situation. Because there's still a window. We're still
We got
in
a
that
10-year window right now, man. If we do this right, we got a 10-year window.
And I don't know, I don't want to say 10-year, but I know the window is the window still can be open right now for next season. Obviously it's over this season. But well,
when you consider this, and I mean, I know Andy's probably going to be here another 2 or 3 years, and that's fine. I'm fine. I'm happy about that. But when you consider the fact that the players that we have brought in, whether it be on future deals, the young guys that we have on our team, remember we still have a Jordy Fortson, or Forston. We have a lot of guys on our team with an extreme amount of talent. Where do we go from here is new blood that is vested and not egotistical. There's so much to be said about being an egotistical person in this league. And it's been proven time and time again, over and over again, since the dawn of football. Your ego will get you nowhere. Your ego will get you in trouble. Your arrogance will get you in trouble. It will get your team in trouble. It will cause problems within the team. I don't see any other way out of fixing this issue other than bringing in new blood that people already love, not bring him in out from the outside, but moving people up that people already love, get along with. Kafka is loved by that team. The football players love him. The entire offense loves him. He's an Andy-like coach.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
Is very, very analytical, but he's also a player's coach. He was a player. He knows what it's like. He's been taught by the best. He belongs in the OC position right now. The other thing that we need to do, in my opinion, Spags, one more year. You give him 1 year. If he can't,
that, I do have questions for you.
Sure.
And I hate being this way because I'm just that guy. My wife has accused me of looking too far ahead too soon. But I'm gonna be real with you. I like a guy like Vic Fangio, and I know he was a horrible head coach. I get it, but
not offensive minded. That's his problem. He's a great defensive mind. He's just not an offensive minded coach. So that's
the thing for the
yeah.
defense. For the defense,
Yeah.
is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to come back on this team for any less than a defensive coordinator position. But question that I have for both of you guys, knowing what you know about Spags and what we've heard about all season, is it time to maybe move on based on what we know? Because we got to realize he held on to Sutton too long. And so you can't fall in that same trap again. And
he's on his fourth season?
No, this is the third. Yeah.
Okay, so third season. So normally if you if you are a good organization, you give a coach a minimum of 4 years to be able to build the roster, whether it be head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, whatever the case may be. In a normal circumstance, you give them 4 to 5 years to build and prove to everyone that they are the person that needs to be here for the next 5 years after that. Just like Andy has done with Philadelphia, just like he's done with Kansas City. This is his Andy's is this his 11th year with KC now?
Oh, it has to be as a
2013.
yeah. I think you're.
2013.
It's pushing on like 9, almost 10.
10 years. Yeah. So you have to give them time. You can't. I think Spags needs another year especially with the players that we've just acquired and some of the guys that may have been here for a year or so, to show up and see if he can do with them what he's done with people in the past. He inherited some players that probably he shouldn't have hung on to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Daniel Sorensen is one of them.
Please don't think that I'm saying kick him out the door. I'm not saying.
You're not wrong.
I understand that. No,
You're not wrong,
that's not what I'm saying. No.
I'm just basically asking the question.
Yeah, and I get it, and that's why I answered that way. I didn't think that at all, Fizz. No, not at all. But normally you would give somebody about a 4 to 5 year window to either prove it or lose it.
Yeah, especially a guy like Andy Reid, because he's tenured and he's not going anywhere. So it gives you the time to be able to give that coordinator for 4 years or 5 years.
Correct. Bieniemy's on his 4th year as a coordinator. He's on his 6th or 7th year with the Chiefs. If not, maybe is it 7 years now? Is that right?
I think so. I think he's been here for a bit.
Prior to that, he was, just a positional coach. But it's his time as far as Bieniemy is concerned. I don't have any. There's no love loss at all, especially after this year. But God, my phone won't stop. I think he has proven enough in the wrong way that he shouldn't be here. He did that, as far as I'm concerned, by week 5. So I know how Andy operates. I know he's not going to fire a coach in the middle of the season. That's just not his way. There have been internal arguments. There's been conversations. There's been team meetings. There's been coaches meetings. There's been so many things that have gone on this year that no one on the outside really thinks about. And we were still able to make it to the AFC Championship game with all the controversy that we had. And that's an upside in this aspect. We have a great group of players that believe in Andy Reid. They believe in Brett Veach. They believe in each other. So they're going to fight for each other to get to that level, even though, and they did that with the 11th hardest schedule in the league.
That's true.
And a brand new offensive line. And, everything that has changed through the course of this season, and then you add on top of the internal issues, this team persevered through that. And they got to a point that most teams couldn't do. They couldn't get there without the problems, without the changes, without the internal issues. and we were able to do that. Now it's time that it cost us a Super Bowl appearance. It is definitely time to make that move. If they
Agreed.
don't make that move, then that's when I will turn around and say, okay, this is on Andy, because he has full control over the coaching staff. Unless they do something blatantly stupid that gets them in trouble, if they pull a John Gruden, that's when the owner and the GM step in. But Andy's
I think the owner and GM need to step in now.
Well, the GM and Andy's contract has.
Well, I mean, you need to talk with Andy, figure
I'm
out
sure
what
they
you're going to
have.
want to do, and I think that's going to happen. I don't think
I think it already has.
Andy's going to listen to them out of respect.
That's
now,
already
Andy
happened.
probably going to do something. He's going to take and learn, but they're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to figure out something, man. Yeah. So,
It's got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed quick, and I'm hoping and praying that. To be honest with you, if it happened tonight after the game, or it happened tomorrow morning, which I know it probably won't, because there's still coaching positions open right now. But if that change was made immediately, it would not hurt my feelings. From a financial standpoint, I know why they're not going to do it that quickly, but and I guess from a team benefit, they're not going to do it that quickly. But I believe if every coaching position is filled within the next 3 weeks, and he's not one of them, he's gone. I believe that that's already in the works. It's been in the mindset, just like, when, everybody questioned me about the whole Sutton and Spag situation back in 17. And or was it 18? What year did we hire Spags?
We hired Spags in 19.
Yep,
Okay, so
19.
Okay, so in 2018, when Sutton was having all of his struggles at the beginning of the season, everybody was pissed off. Players weren't playing up to their potential. He had, Anthony Hitchens chasing down Amari Cooper, dumb things like that. Around week 5, week 6, a consultant came in, and that consultant was to come in and help with the defensive side of the game. And we were ranked dead last. Then we went from dead last to about 17th from week 5 to week 9, week 10, in that range. And then that consultant left. And then our defense went straight back down to dead last again. No one knew who that consultant was at the time, but that consultant was Spags and one other person. This was in the works in 18 for Spags to be hired in 19. I believe that this is the same situation with Kafka, and I think that it's his time, and he needs to be brought in now, and he needs to ease the players' minds right now and bring a fresh new perspective to the offense as a whole. Because if this doesn't happen now, it is going to be a nightmare come March. It's going to be a nightmare. So that's all I'm going to say, and I'll let you guys take from there.
I'll just curious. Well, yeah, man. I mean, you're not wrong from that aspect, and change was going to happen. The next part of the show was supposed to be questions, but we got 40 of them. But JP, I'm pretty sure we covered every single one of them. If we're being honest.
Well, we probably ought to answer a few.
We'll do a couple because we're a little running over, but we'll do a couple.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we've answered pretty much all, and they're just like what happened. I did see one question I think is really good to talk about. And this is a good question because I saw it and I thought this would be interesting. This is from David Miner-Shagan. He is the guy who won our Dwayne Bowe signed jersey. His question is, what does Mahomes need to do to get over his second half woes? So I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts there?
Des, I'll let you take that one. Are you available?
Give me a second.
Are you good, man?
Go ahead. I will run off with my little spiel while Thiz is waiting. Um, I don't believe that it is a Mahomes issue. Um, to some degree, I don't believe it's as far as his second half issues, because we, prior to this season, we were always a second half team. And if anybody remembers, we would be, down 14 points in the first half and come back and win by 20 in the second half. This is an issue that needs to be rectified from within, and it doesn't start with Mahomes, and it doesn't start with the wide receivers. This is an internal issue that needs to be fixed, and I believe it's going to be fixed. But that's where this stands right now. That's my take on it. And whenever Thiz is ready, and you can answer the question too, Caleb, because I'm sure you got as much insight as I do.
Yeah, man. I
this.
just the only thing I think from this standpoint is it's just the team has to come together. When you see QB struggling, you gotta talk to him, encourage him. You have to do different things like that. Because if you don't do that and also execute the game plan, try to figure out different ways you can help, it's gonna cause a team to collapse. And that's just kind of the issue that we're seeing here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spit this out really quickly, as quickly as I can think of. There, Travis Kelce has willed us to win a few times this season. He's willed, especially in this playoffs. He was there. He was the one that caught that touchdown pass against the Bills. It can't always be him. It can't always be him that lifts us out of the mud. It can't always be Mahomes. We got to have somebody else that's available to be able to take up the mantle in those times. And while I'm not short of the one. I was one that was not bashing McCole, but I was questioning the number 2 status. It kind of blew up in your face, in our faces this time. We need a number 2 that'll be able to catch those, that'll be able to will us to a win by catching some of these tight throws and things of that nature. Just an extra guy that'll help us when Mahomes gets in those tight spots or whatever. So I think that's a little bit necessary. I think it's probably the biggest thing that we can do coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Then we had another question here, Caleb.
Yeah,
don't know
I
if
got you,
saw
man.
This. It said, "Why did he give up on the game?" And he can't say he didn't. I don't know. That's from Richard Rogers. I'm not sure who he's talking about.
Yeah, who's he talking about? Mahomes? Is he
I don't
talking
know.
about EB,
I'm thinking he's
Andy,
talking
the
about
Water Boy?
Mahomes. I think he's talking about Mahomes.
I'm going to
And if
ask
he
him really
is,
quick. Yeah.
and I'm going to say it like this, I don't want to say he gave up on the game. To me, it just felt like he was running around and he almost had visions of Super Bowl 50 or whatever, 55, I guess it was. He might have had visions of that because at the end it started to look like that. And there was just no one open. And it felt to me like after throwing that interception, plus nothing was working, he kind of didn't want to make a mistake. I don't know if that's the case, but it kind of felt like that to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting for his reply. I just wanted to know
Oh, you're good, man.
who he was. I asked him because I wanted to know who he was talking about.
My guess is probably Mahomes.
I mean, it could be Mahomes. It could be hell, it could be Andy for that matter. I don't know. I didn't watch the presser yet. I started to watch it before we got on the show, and I didn't get to finish it. Brandon put out some stats, by the way, real quick. Frank Clark career playoff stats: 13 games, 32 total tackles, 13 TFLs, 16 QB hits, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 11 sacks. Frank is currently 5th all time in playoff sacks. The only guys in front of him will be one day I'll be in Canton. Expect playoff Frank to ball out on Sunday. That was his stats that he had put out. I guess that was 3 days ago. And somebody said, sadly, he didn't. And, it was still a hell of a year for Frank. He played fairly well for, what he went through at the beginning of the season and the other issues that he had within himself. That, the team helped him with a lot. So I mean, everybody wants to blame it on one player. They want to blame it on one person. I'd like to not blame it on one person. I know there was an issue with one person that caused a lot of problems, but Nolan Rogers asked, by the way, also he thinks Spags is gone. I don't think he is. I think he's got another year left in him, maybe. Apparently, Sharon, one of our longtime listeners, just said that apparently everybody's going after the players, calling
that's
them
not
names, doing all this stuff on
Leave the players alone.
leave the players alone.
Yeah,
guys.
don't go after the
Don't
players.
go after the players. Don't be
That's
stupid.
push league.
Yeah, don't be stupid. And that's being stupid. You can't go after the players. You just, don't be greedy and don't be that person. There's 30, or 28 other teams out there that would pray to be in the AFC Championship game, and there's teams for the last 100 years that would pray to go 3 or 4 straight times. So don't be that person, especially when you're sitting on the couch. So if you think you could do better, go out there and try it. If not, shut the hell up. But with that being said, it's going to have to come down to some coaching changes and some new blood. I don't believe for one second that we have, with the exception of a couple of players, and you guys may agree or not, but I think we have an immense amount of talent on this team, and some of it's just not being utilized correctly. And a lot of times, look, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and you guys can chime in. I want you guys' opinion on this, but Andy Reid makes up these plays. Okay. Andy Reid has the play sheet. He actually has 2. And then he has a notebook that he keeps with him as well that has notes from their prior game, maybe that we have played with this team, or things that he sees during the course of the game that he writes down. And then he relays this to the other coaches because Andy has extreme insight and amazing vision.
Mm-hmm.
If a coach does not utilize what Andy is giving him and goes in opposite direction of what he is saying, that's not on Andy. If the players are saying, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and the coaches aren't going with it, that's not on the players. So it's it's a circle jerk effect, because when you have animosity, then you have problems. Today you saw, and this is, look, in the 4 years, well, in all the years that Andy's been here, I've yet to see 2 players get into an argument on the sidelines. I've yet to see a coach and a player get into an argument on the sidelines until this year. This year, I've seen Melvin Ingram and Chris Jones get into it just here recently. Today, it was Tyreek, and it was
what?
It wasn't really Tyreek.
But
Tyreek
it wasn't really like a.
They weren't
it was-
arguing.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. They weren't.
You're
arguing.
good, man.
It was just Hardman knew he was open. He knew he had some open lanes. He wasn't thrown to. He got annoyed with it. I don't blame him a bit. And Tyreek tried to calm him down. That's basically what that was. But I have never seen Mahomes get into an argument with a coach. It's happened 3 times on the field and multiple times off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a disconnect that has to be reconnected. It can't be with that same person. It has to be with someone else. And that same argument from Mahomes has been with the exact same person. It's not anyone different than the one person. So if you're going to blame someone, or you're going to try to play the blame game, and you really don't know the situation from within, just stay off Twitter. Don't go after the players. Don't say the stupid negative shit. because you really don't know what the hell you're talking about. I mean, it's that simple. And if you're not on the field and you don't have inside information and you don't have somebody in your ear telling you exactly what the hell's going on, shut up, because you're pissing players off and you're pissing off everybody else in the kingdom, and negativity breeds negativity.
Preach it, JP.
So end it and just move on to the next year, and don't be greedy bastards. Be happy that you just got to the 4th straight AFC championship game that no other team in the history of football has ever done. Ever.
Right.
End of story. It's that simple. We went to 2 straight Super Bowls, almost 3. We're going to see another one. We're going to see probably 3 or 4 more. So just be happy with what you got. Am I pissed off? Yes, I am, but for different reasons than you guys are. I'm not mad at the players. I'm mad at a situation that is internal, has nothing to do with the players. Nothing. You guys are pissed off because you think the players aren't doing something that you think you can do better. Well, you can't. If you could, you'd be in their shoes making millions of dollars. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, you're good,
I hate
man.
when the people tell me that shit.
You're good. I hear you, man.
So
I hear you.
anyway, yeah. So go ahead with the next couple of questions, bro. I'm just trying to.
We're going to do one more. Let me pull it up.
I'm gonna listen to something.
This question is from David. His question is, who are we drafting, offense or defense? David, answering your question specifically, I think we're gonna have to get a combination of both. If we can't get a wide receiver 2 in free agency, we're gonna have to get someone in the draft or somewhere. They're gonna have to get someone in the draft or in free agency because they really need one to help out Mahomes in case Kelsey and Hill aren't available. When it comes to offense and defense, they're gonna have to go both. When it comes to defense, they need another pass rusher, someone that can get in the backfield, because it's just Chris Jones and them aren't cutting it right now.
I agree. What do you think, Fizz?
I think the same. Based on how the season has gone, I want a pass rusher. I do think that the wide receiver 2 thing, I think that should be addressed in free agency unless you find a player coming out of college that is smart enough to grasp Andy Reid's system, because normally year 1 wide receivers don't really grasp it that quickly. But if you can find one that does, that has that IQ, football IQ and regular IQ, then absolutely you got to pounce on that guy as a number 2 receiver. I think number 2 receiver is what this team is lacking, and that's what I think about.
All right, cool. JP, what do you think?
You guys know, I think we're gonna have to go after. We're gonna have to go after. Definitely need a safety. We definitely need one more wide receiver. I don't know. I mean, we did pick up some guys on futures, and we don't know what they're going to do or not do. It would be nice to bring in someone from, that maybe has some veteran experience, but still has enough capability to go out there and make a difference, and play the game at a high level, and can step into the role fairly quickly, which is hard to do in our system, but wide receiver wise, I should say. We definitely need faster defensive line, especially on the edges. We just do. I love Melvin, and I think he's going to come back next year. I pray, because he's been a huge help. But we still need that speed, and we need the technique that so many others have that we haven't brought to the table yet.
Yeah.
Linebacker wise, I mean, they filled some of those holes. There's still a couple that need to be filled. The one thing that I said on the show earlier in the year, when everybody was bitching about, Beach not going after defensive players this year, or look, you can't rebuild the entire team in one season. I mean, you just can't do it. It's not feasible. So he went with a position of need, and he filled those positions. He filled him with the offensive line. Maybe gone a little bit too far with that, but he's protecting a $500 million quarterback and the best quarterback in football. So I would say that, maybe he did go a little too far in some aspects, but Mahomes was fair, relatively after, they gelled and he got out of that pocket present shit and was able to play his game. He was relatively injury free. He wasn't getting beat to death. I want to tell you guys something really quick. Tyrann Mathieu is, I got to tell you, he's one of the best people, and he's got me in tears. The man was crying before the press conference. And
yeah, it's meant so much to him. That game.
He's extremely upset. He wants to come back here. He wants to play with this team. He wants to be a part of this organization. I hope and pray that he does come back. He's an awesome person. Anybody that has anything negative to say about him, you're just freaking stupid. I wish and I hope and pray that he comes back and he plays another few years with us. He's one of the staples of our team, and we need him. We need that man. And he needs us. He needs the fans to be he needs the fans to be supportive. And we're not right now. It looks like nobody is. The Rams just won, by the way.
Yeah, I just saw.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yep,
definitely
just saw.
that's definitely going to be a they got one of the best defenses in the league, and I will I'll put my pick at now that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. So and then that may be the last appearance you
Interesting.
see. Yeah, and that may be the last appearance you see out of the Bengals for a while, moving forward. Especially if they get the shit kicked out of them in the Super Bowl, because I don't think they have the mentality to come back like we do and be able to go to 2 straight. I don't think they have the mentality to come back and be able to handle it the following year. But I don't know. If there's any other questions, you can grab them really quick. If there's anything you want to answer.
I think we pretty much covered everything, man.
Cool. So, parting words. Look, we did something that no other, 28 other teams didn't do. So let's just be happy with what we've got. And yes, it sucks. It hurts. It's painful. We'll get over it.
Mhm.
We all have to go to work the next day. We all have things to do. And these guys got to go back to work just like we do. But the problem is, the difference between them and us is that we can go to work and not have to think about being on that field and losing that football game.
Mhm.
They have to think about that. They have that in the back of their minds more than we will ever will. So remember that when you decide to go after one of them for no reason whatsoever. But anyway, parting words really quick. Thiz has joined Chiefs Focus. He is going to be doing a all NFL podcast. Starting fairly soon, and we're getting things put together now. He's doing his part, and we're doing our part to get him on the network, and that's going to be awesome. So everybody, make sure you give Thiz a follow. And he is now part of the Chiefs Focus family, and he's going to bring some of his well-needed and extremely insightful discussion to our organization that is much needed. He's a very intelligent individual that knows this game very well. He knows the NFL very well.
I
So,
appreciate that.
um,
I won't say all that, but I definitely appreciate.
well, I
Hey,
will.
Thiz, you got some knowledge that no one else has, so you
Yeah.
keep it up, my friend.
So, I just wanted to welcome him aboard, and make sure you guys keep following. We got stuff going all summer long. We're gonna have articles out all year. We're gonna have Caleb's gonna do his uh, amazing draft picks that he does every year, and we're gonna have that on the website. Um, we got some other things in the works that are gonna be coming for the hopefully by training camp everything will be done and set up, but maybe by OTAs.
Yeah, we're pretty much almost full operational actually, because JP's been the driving force behind a lot of it. So shout out to JP.
Well,
We've come a long way this year because of him. So
I appreciate it,
JP,
man.
you are the man.
Well, we've all put our work in, and it's we do this for not only us but for you guys as well. It started off, Caleb started this page, and without this page we wouldn't be anything. So it's amazing what you can do when you put your when you get the right people together and you can move forward, and that's what we've done. Took a while to find the right people, but we got them. And
Yep.
it's now just it's just a progress that a moving cog that is just going to continue to move, and we're going to roll forward until we can get where we want to be and get you guys where you want to be, and hopefully everybody's happy with what we're putting out. But shout out to the 5 or 6 or 8 people that signed up today for the website. We appreciate you joining. There may be a couple of glitches in there right now. That's just because they had some problems, but it's being worked out. And there's going to be a lot more added to it as we go along. So with that being said, I think we ought to probably wrap this one up. What do you think, man?
I think we're good, man. Another chapter closed, but another chapter closed. We got another chapter beginning pretty soon.
That's right.
So just want to thank JP the opportunity. We've been doing this for 2 years. Gonna keep it going, guys, and we're gonna be putting great things coming this off season.
Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Thiz, welcome aboard, brother. I appreciate the fact that you are part of this organization, and we look forward to everything you're going to be doing. It's we've been friends for a long time, and you have always
I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully I don't disappoint.
you won't disappoint, man. That's the one thing that's the last thing we're worried about.
You always come through with this.
You always
when
come
JP
through.
was sick, you were right there when I need you, man.
Yeah,
checking
man.
on JP, everything, man. So we already know you're gonna come through,
Yep.
regardless.
You're always going to be there, man.
I look forward to it, man.
So, what's this say? Oh, apparently, I don't know what Bieniemy had to say in the press conference, but
Oh Lord.
yeah, I guess they apparently pissed off a lot of people.
Huh.
My phone hasn't stopped. I'm about ready to turn it off. I mean, honest to God, I've had like 146 texts now. But
That's how you were. Yeah, you were going through it all the whole time, man.
the whole show, I was sitting here answering texts.
You're like trying to answer. I'm like, man, this man is busy.
Yeah, I can't believe how much my phone's blown up since this game happened. But I usually get about anywhere from 15 to 20, per game, and it gets more and more as the season goes on. This time here, I didn't expect that, but that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. That's why I'm here. So, anyway, give all these players some love, people. Please stop bashing them, because you don't know what the hell you're talking about if you are. And if you can't stop bashing them, get off Twitter. Don't go on Instagram. Go home, kick your dog, whatever it is that makes you feel better about yourself. But don't kick the players. Yeah, don't kick the dog. I love dogs.
Kick the dog.
Kick the cat.
I know it was a joke, but I
Hey,
know
Pete,
everybody,
come on, man.
Yeah.
Some people
Don't kick the dog.
People
Kick
take
the
it as
cat.
gospel. Don't kick the dog.
Just stay off Twitter
Yeah.
for a week. You'll be
Yeah.
fine if you stay off Twitter for a week.
Yeah. Find a
avoid
punching
Bengals
bag, go to
bars.
the gym, do whatever you got to do. Hey, Dexter McCluster's got a gym. Go in there and box with him if you have to. But
My closing shot for y'all is we've gone a long way. We've come a long way from where we were. And
Yes.
yeah, we're not where we want to be, but we'll get there. As you can see, Brett Veach has come his
Sorry.
draft picks this year have really come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing what he'll do in the future because he really hasn't been a bummer since that first one. He's been upgrading ever since. So I look forward to seeing with the new cap space and the draft picks. We might be able to come through with this and shining flying high. So hopefully that's what'll happen.
You hit the nail on the head there, man, because I mean, look at what he did, the Willie Gay, L'Jarius Sneed draft, and then this draft. He's done some amazing things in the draft, pulling people out of his butt that no one ever heard of. Same thing Caleb kind of does. He finds people in,
Hey man, I just learned from the best like you. You tell me what to do and I figure it out.
shit.
So
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean,
Shout out to
somebody
you,
can
my
go out
friend.
to Western freaking Montana in the middle of a town that's got 12 people and somehow you find a player there. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's that's that kind of stuff that brings in what we need in this organization. So anyway, I hope everybody can get over it fairly quick. Enjoy the fact that the Rams are probably a 99.9% favorite to win that game. And shout out to the Bengals. I mean, they did what they had to do today. So,
Absolutely.
as much as their fans were trolling the hell out of us, and believe me, I got a lot of it. It's just different. Oh, and by the way, last parting words. We donated in the first 2 days to the Bills Children's Hospital $178,000. It is now up to almost 500,000.
Man, that was amazing.
That's by our fans. $500,000 almost to the Bills organization or the Bills Children's Hospital. So that's awesome, in my opinion. And by the way, Carter, I apologize. I didn't mean to go off on you today, but you just caught me in a moment. So if you're listening to the show, hats off to you for taking it. With that being said, I got nothing else, man. How about you?
we're all good. Go, man. Another
All right,
chapter
bro.
closed, but another one's about to be written.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we will have another show next week, and we'll talk about the Super Bowl and talk about other things that are coming up. And this show will be out, and keep an eye on everything. And we will talk to you next week, guys.
See you next time.
Peace.
Cheers, Kingdom.
Deuces.
Peace out.